Hello and welcome once again to Simply Solo Playthroughs. This should be my last print and play edition of Star Wars Legendary. These are just extra cards that I had, so they come in nice things. This is my box, Balderdash. I bought this at Goodwill. It was $2. Nice way to repurpose a box. And we're down to our last kind of parts that we're going to do. We're going to make the mat. And I made a those of you who saw my prior mat, I don't even know where it's at anymore. It was just a paper mat. This one is on a, I don't remember what they call it. It was $1.47 or $1.97, one of the two at Walmart. And so I have this into 6 different parts, and I'm actually going to go ahead and assemble it for you here. We also have to have a box cover. This is my third or fourth, and I think this is what I'm going to finally settle on. Doing a box is not always the easiest thing because for me, because art is not my strong suit, and so I'm going to go on ahead and see what I can go on ahead and do. One of the problems that I have with the Balderdash box is it's kind of a large box, and an 8.5 by 11 that's cut poorly. Oh, that's that was my first version, and this is my second version, and this is my final version. One of the problems, of course, it's too. That's a lot of purple to be hanging off. I tried removing the price tag and mucked that up pretty good. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just use. I used to have a star duct tape that I really wish I still had, and Walmart does not sell anymore. That I ended up doing this to hide the sides, and one, of course, I've already laid it out and cut it. I do use X-Acto knife for most cutting because I find it to be more accurate and more nice. So let's see if this pulls up well. So, unlike this side, I did make this long enough to do the whole thing. Yeah, there we go. Cut that a little bit too long. Oops. Okay. So we want to go on ahead and cut this off. That's easy enough to do. I'll just set that over here for right now. Okay. So one of the problems that you run into, of course, is these corners and getting these corners in correctly. To play with the corners, I do use scissors. out as well as I had hoped, but it will be fine. Okay, so we got rid of that little piece. And that will just wrap over nicely. So it's not going to be too thick. I'm eventually going to put a some kind of a sticker on the side there. And self-healing mats are invaluable, to say the very least. This is also nice because it's going to reinforce the box. Okay. Now the real question is, and I think I do. Too short. So I am going to go on ahead and run out another piece of duct tape. Love X-Acto knives. They are the best. This is the larger number 2. So for my fine cutting, I usually use a 1. But for this, I did use a 2. I should have done this first. One trick is to do what I just did, which is to roll it down. I am going to use a scissor here. There we go. And for those of you who say, oh, I'm not artistic, I can't do print and play, let me suggest to you, neither was I. And I am not an artist by any stretch of the imagination. I've never been real crafty, but once I got a motivation to do this, I started getting much better at it. If you take a look at some of my early stuff, it does look pretty bad. And there are lots and lots of really good tips on YouTube, including doing the six-fold, the three-fold, or six-fold, the six-sided board that I'm going to be doing in just a few minutes. Lay down, attach your one end, and then just smooth on across. there's a lot of ways to figure out how to do things, and sometimes it's just a matter of just learn from people who know what they're doing. And again, Martin has some really good suggestions on how to do things. Okay, so this is almost a full sheet. It is not quite a full sheet. I already cut it down to size. You can buy these at Walmart. Walmart should probably sponsor this as much as I'm saying. Oh, and you can buy this there. Take this, fold it over, nice and flat. Take this one, fold it over, nice and flat. This is a trick I learned from I gotta figure out what to do with that light. I don't know quite what to do with it anymore. Okay. So, we want to place down our probably should have cornered those. Okay. So this side is done. We can now lift this up and just pull it on across, leveling it as you go. You can take my huge ruler. You can always take a ruler and flatten as you go, or you can just use your hand, which is what I. Then you run into this problem. And don't forget to take that one off. Okay, so there's our box top. I am going to do the sides later. I'll put some pictures on there of how this finally ended up. But that's my box. One of the things I also did with this box is I added in some intermediary pieces to do some splitting. So that'll be nice to have come later on. Now let's look at our board. One of the things I had to make sure was that the board was going to fit, so it did have to get chopped down a little bit. There's a nice app on, a nice program on the Apple Store called Split Print, and it works like a charm. All you have to do is just put in there, and you will have to do some adjusting and playing with it, which is what I had to do. I ended up having to cut a little bit off of the bottom here, which were not that one, but these I had to cut off the bottom. It also makes the centerpieces longer. Two. 3, 4. And by the way, this is not sponsored. If Diet Squirt would like to sponsor me, I'd really appreciate it. Okay. So, one thing you need to have an idea of what you're doing when you want to be able to do a nice little fold. For my legend, I have my Star Trek the Dice game, which is also 6-sided, but it's also much smaller. This game does require a much larger board. So I have it set like this. How I did this particular one was I did these I did 6 squares, and I put them together, and I had 3 printed um, sheets, 8.5 by 11. Cut them down to size, and then I just placed them so the sticker is actually, this sticker is actually holding these two together, and then you just have this line and this line are the two that need to be held together. So that at least tells us what we're doing and where we're going. So now for the fun part. Now this is difficult to do at times, depending on how well you're cut, which apparently I cut rather well this time. Off by just a smidge, not really off on this side. So that does make life a little bit easier. That first piece was kind of huge. Okay, line these up. There we go. And then you can flip. Okay, that looks good. Don't always take off the Scotch tape. I'm not going to this time because it's a pain in the neck. And again, I wish I had my star tape. I don't always go quite to the end, because it's not really needed. Come here. Set it down. Pull it on across. Get out all of our little air bubbles. And I think I actually made this too tight. Okay. Well, we're going to make the other ones tight then. You should leave just a smidge. And you see this over here. There is just a smidge of open area. Nice cutting. Okay. Again, a little bit of tape to just hold it. And the reason I use Scotch tape rather than doing it with the duct tape to begin with is the Scotch tape is much, much thinner. I always try to put the cap back on, just because I've got a silly cat that decides to run up on my table at times, and at random times. That was really fast. Okay, that worked out. Okay, we're good. This is one of the problems with doing this method, is you sometimes end up with that kind of a thing. You'll notice down here it's really nice. It will end up being on that side. So what we want to do now is we're going to do this side. Okay. And just keep it on the top one. Shoot. Line those up. Bring this up. Again, line those up again. There we go. Okay, there we go. I might just put a small piece there, but we'll let that work itself out. Okay. Not happy about that, but at this point, we're not going to worry about it. Okay. split print is really nice. You can specify how many sides you want. So if you decide you're only going to do a 4, you can do a 2 by 2, which is really kind of nice. So if you had a really long one, you can do a 3 by 1, I guess. There we go. There we go. I redid this board so I could actually read it, because my original one, even when I changed it from 72 to 150 DPI, it really did not come out well. And no one seemed to have a original file at, 150 or 300. This is printed mostly at 300. There were some 150s that were upgraded. Oh, shoot. Dang it. Oh, this is horrible. I hate when that happens. Yeah, I love when that happens. Yeah, okay, whatever. Okay, now I am going to go to the edge. To cover up my error. There we go. Okay. Now this one lines up down here. Interesting. This one did not line up quite as well. Oh, I see why. Oh well. Okay. So, we tape this one, we're going to tape this one. I keep pulling off long pieces. I guess because the only time I really use this tape is when I'm gift wrapping. And we're going to switch this over. Oh, that explains a lot. So maybe I'm going to be redoing that one. Okay. Now I just have to figure out how to close it. Each one closes sometimes a little bit differently. It's not going to work. Okay, so we are going to close this way. There we go. And it fits right in the box with the lid. So join me as I'm going to be playing Star Wars Legendary within the next day. I have been real excited for this game. Yeah, so look forward to it, and please continue, like, subscribe, and all that other fun stuff. Thanks, and I hope you have a great day.